Sorry for starting late, y'all. Half an hour late. Um, as far as a half an hour late, Facebook was exactly 30 minutes and YouTube was 30 minutes and 15 seconds. I decided to do Facebook first since a lot of you seem to probably click off after like 10 seconds if I don't have a good few second hook. Once upon a time, an evil queen cast a powerful curse that trapped every single fairy tale character in our world. After the curse was broken, the savior had to fight the forces of evil and leading to her death in the final battle that will kill her and dispense of everyone else's happiness. Well, I'm gonna find a way around this battle, and also the land of untold stories is about, and they don't want their story told, and uh, just a lot to be unfolded in Once Upon a Time. Sorry, I'm not good with intros here, but I seem to like that. Man, I know I'm a little bit of a mess, but there's like no reason to worry about that. I'm just going bald. That's all. You can see. Look at all that hair. Oh my goodness. I am completely unprofessional. Completely a mess. So I actually got home ready to start an hour early, but then there was desserts at one of my neighbors' houses, and I decided to go over there and grab dessert, but they wouldn't let me have some early. I had to wait until almost 7 to eat some stuff. And so anyway, I got to eat before 7. It was like 6:50, and I left at 6:55 to come back home and set up. Took me 10 minutes to get home, and as usual, about 15 minutes to set up my live stream. I have a 6:30 alarm that usually goes off that tells me, okay, I have to get my live stream set up. And a lot of times that allows me to start at 6:45, or if I'm in the middle of something, it gives me 5 minutes to wrap up so I can start at 6:50. If I am ready to start at 6:45, I'll wait 5 minutes. But man, I was just gonna. It was just trying. When it was 6:55, I was gonna see if I could rush home and start at 7:10. And then if that was the case, if we started at 7:10, I would just start straight with the show. We don't really need Q&A. There, no one really leaves questions at the end. And last week, I struggled trying to find time to, like in the past, I usually never struggle. I usually talk too much. I didn't have much to say last week, and I was very tired and didn't feel good. So I didn't talk very much last week, and I couldn't think straight, so I didn't have much to say. I tried very hard to keep the live stream going till 9:30 Mountain Daylight Time, but I just couldn't find anything else to say from 9:15 to 9:30. And so last week was the one time we actually had everything on time. Like sometimes we'll start the show at 7, and then the later episodes of 7:45 and 8:30 will start like 8:35 or 8:40. It'll start 5-10 minutes late. And so despite our starting on time moment, we still sometimes start late in the middle of the marathon because I talk between episodes a lot. I mean, I talk during episodes, but I don't pause the show. And we talk as we watch. But when the episode's over, sometimes I talk before starting the next episode, and sometimes that causes problems and late delays. But man, I'm sorry. But anyway, I just had to get dessert from my neighbors. It seemed so yummy. So I'm sorry about that. It's so hard to be committed. Um, yes, it's been a long time since I was able to do whatever I wanted on Sunday evenings because we've been doing this for a year. So, I'm tired, guys. I'm just really tired. Because I didn't drive to the neighbors. I rode a scooter there, and I had to push with my foot. It's not the electrical kind of scooter. It's a toy scooter that kids use. It's the one I had since I was 8, and I never got rid of it. I'm 23, and I had that scooter for 15 years. It's too little for me. I need to get an adult size scooter. Honestly, I'm still. There was a lot of kids riding scooters today, wondering why an adult was riding a scooter, and some of the parents watching their kids were kind of confused too. And I was not being a good example because to make things faster, because sidewalks have little bumps and cracks, right? The road is a lot more smoother. So I went into the road when I know no cars were coming, but it still sets a bad example for all the kids who are out in the neighborhood right now. So anyway, yes, last week I did not have a lot to say. So I just kind of winged and said random things to keep it till 9:30. And so anyway, I figured if that happened again tonight, I feel like saying a lot tonight, but who knows? After riding my scooter back and forth and being exhausted, I could be tired as we're watching the episode. So who knows if I'll get tired later on? I have during this live stream, I have gotten tired of talking. It's hard to give commentary and talk for 2.5 hours. So I'm very so with the combined scooter and talking, I think there might not be a lot to say at the end. So yes, I was going to start at 7:10. I was going to try to just go straight with the show, so that way we could end at 9:25, and then be like, you know what? There's no need to go 15 minutes to talk about and just kind of wrap up in five. I probably need at least 5 minutes to talk after the show, so I figured that would be okay. But then I got back at 7:05. It always takes me about 15 minutes. I could not get the live stream ready in 5 minutes. I almost had it ready in 10, but then, as it happens quite often on Sundays, not every Sunday. Some Sundays are smooth, but I did have complications that took another 5 minutes. If I started at 7:15, I'd still go with the show and just end right when the our third episode ended at 9:30. But nope, because of complications, I didn't start till 7:20. That I've been talking for 6 minutes, if you can tell. I started the live stream at 7:20. So I'm like, well, you know what? We might as well just start the show at 7:30 and go till 10. So I'm sorry for starting a half an hour late. Again, it's Easter, hanging out with family. I hope you understand. Family also includes the neighbors. So, all right, well, let's get the show on the road, right? 7:26. Man, sorry for starting a half an hour late. It's not the first time I've done that. I've even started at 8 once when we earlier in our when we started our marathon with season 1 and 2. So remember, our Once Upon a Time marathon started the week after General Conference. Today is General Conference, so there is 52 weeks and an extra day in the year. So even though next Sunday's not our 1 year anniversary, it's a week from Monday. Because we start on April 13th, and this time April 12th is a Sunday. So because we don't have our live streams on Mondays, obviously, next week we will be celebrating our 1 year anniversary of our marathon. So um, if I, again, if I didn't spend a week, if I didn't have to cancel the show in any manner for being sick or going on a date or being on a cruise, we would have finished season 6 tonight according to the original schedule with no rewrites or no changes. The first schedule I made for the marathon had us finishing season 6 today. Now I did purposely plan on the first draft of the schedule to finish on to skip Mother's Day and Thanksgiving, and then we traded Thanksgiving for summer vacation, to keep the schedule the same. You remember that, right? Anyway, that was always planned. So because of that, season 6 was supposed to finish today, and we would have started season 7 on our 1 year anniversary. But that's not going to happen because I got sick no, I had a date in September, got sick in November, and it's like every other month I had to skip a week. And then January we had the cruise. Luckily for March I haven't had to skip a week, so there you go. But I hope I don't have to skip a week in May. I was planning to skip Mother's Day again. But part of me doesn't want to skip Mother's Day for the trying to so we could finish the marathon quicker. But anyway, we'll see. We might not skip Mother's Day because I'm going to send out polls this week. Season 7 was the one season that did not air on Sundays. So if we want to keep it nostalgic, we would have to do it Fridays. I'm going to send a poll if everyone wants to do the show on Fridays instead. We don't need to skip Mother's Day. And I thought about doing lesser episodes since season 7 is the last season. The only reason I didn't want to do 2 episodes in the past or 1 episode was because Once Upon a Time is a long show. 22 episodes a season is long. I didn't want to feel like taking forever on the show. I knew I was going to take a long time regardless, but I wanted to do at least 3 episodes a Sunday. So then that way we could be done within a year. It's going to take longer than a year, of course, but, and we skipped weeks to make it longer. But anyway, I liked how we did 3 episodes a week because there are certain plot twists I love reacting to on YouTube and Facebook, and I didn't want to have to wait like a year to get to them. I was like, how can I get to these Peter Pan is Rumple's father moments, faster, right? And so anyway, we got to all my favorite moments in the show, other than the end of season 7. With season 7 being the last season, I'm not as eager to watch those episodes with you guys as I am with the other 6 seasons. So I can do lesser episodes if you want me to. We have to finish season 6 with 3 episodes a week. There is a musical episode I can't wait to watch with you guys. But when we finish the final battle, after season 6, we will marathon season 7. We could marathon season 7 with lesser episodes a night. If we do it on Fridays, I do work Friday nights. I'm not at work when it's 7 p.m., so I could do Friday nights for season 7. But I couldn't go live, I couldn't go live the whole night. I have to work at 9, so that only gives us about 2 episodes to watch. So, yes, if we do it on Fridays, we have to not do 3 episodes anymore. But, if no one votes or if we vote for Sundays, well, then we'll still probably do 3 episodes a week. I'll see. Even if we do 2 episodes a Sunday as well, that could work. Um if s But I'm pretty sure some of you are tired of this marathon and want it to end soon, so I don't know. I hate for it to go by fast for those who want to keep it going. So if we want to slow down the marathon so we don't have to end it too soon, then we could do like 2 episodes a night. I don't know if I would want. I don't know if I feel like doing one. We don't. It's 22 episodes a season. Remember, I don't know if I want to spend 22 weeks on season 7. So, but I might be genuine on doing 2 episodes. I'll just send a vote later this week. See what everyone wants to do for season 7. But we have a half a season of season 6 to get through first. We're still going to do 3 episodes a night all of April, but May we'll see. We'll see if we just what we decide to do. Um, but anyway, we're gonna start the show now. I was already gonna start when it was 7:26, but then that came up in my mind, the idea of doing lesser episodes for season 7. So anyway, now we're late. I mean, we're late, because now I thought about starting at 7:30, and it's we're still not starting at 7:31. Oh my goodness. Um, I was gonna pull up Disney Plus, but then I stopped. Don't know why. So if everyone wants to get out their Disney Plus, Hulu, DVD, however you watch Once Upon a Time, I don't care. We're going to watch season 6, episodes 12 through 14. These episodes include finding out who Charming's father is. It was hinted at the beginning of the season that Charming's father died in a cart wreck, and the Evil Queen hinted that it wasn't an accident. So Charming was curious on what happened to his father. That storyline was abandoned due to all the other untold stories and the Evil Queen and Emma's and Gideon coming to town to kill Emma. The final battle. We've been so focused on the final battle lately that we kind of left Charming in the dust. Tonight, that's going to change. We're going to find out more about. We're going to find out all the clues to Charming's father, and then then we'll get back to the final battle plot with Gideon, because remember Emma broke the sword, and last week we didn't have a final battle, but we had a similar event where Emma and Gideon were fighting to the death, and no one died, but Emma broke the sword that's supposed to kill her. So we're gonna watch an episode where Gideon tries to repair the sword, kind of thing. It's not that great of an episode, but we'll watch it anyway because we've been reacting to every episode of Once Upon a Time on the show on this channel. But yeah, so there is that one. And then our third episode of the night. That one is gonna be Regina versus the Evil Queen. Now, remember how she turned into a snake? They're gonna unsnake her, and then we're gonna have one last final confrontation between Regina and the Evil Queen. Wrap up the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde serum storyline. I mean, we already killed Jack. We already killed Jekyll and Hyde earlier, but this time we're going to you know, we're gonna wrap up like Regina using the serum on Jekyll and Hyde to separate herself. We're gonna kind of wrap that storyline up. So anyway, we'll see how Regina defeats the Evil Queen forever this time. So that's gonna be our thing. That's gonna be it for tonight. That will be, we're gonna watch those 3 episodes: Charming's father, Rumple and Gideon. That's what I'm gonna call that episode. Rumple and Son, actually, because we'll get a flashback of Rumple and Bellfire, so it's gonna be kind of about fathers and sons, I guess. It's not Father's Day, but anyway, whatever. It's a good Father's Day episode, guys. Watch season 6, episode 13 for Father's Day. And then yeah, the Evil Queen episode. Oh yeah, and don't forget we have Robin Hood back too. So, all right, 43 minutes and 53 seconds. Okay, that's what season 6, episode 12, Murder Most Foul. 43 minutes and 53 seconds. That's what your timestamp should say if you're watching Disney Plus. Anything else? Just make sure you haven't started the recap of episode 12. Anyway, in case we all need a recap, right? Okay. Just want to see who's watching. Okay, good. All right. I'm gonna give a countdown. When I get down to 0, everyone push play. All right. Not when I say 1. When I say 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. Yep. Robin came back. Not our Robin Hood. Not the one that died. A different version of him came back. Yep. We're gonna find out more about Charming's father. Yep. We're gonna find out who killed Charming's father. All right. So it's a rainy day in the Enchanted Forest, and we get Ruth and Charming's father, who I don't know his name is. Ruth is Charming's mother. David and James, brothers separated at birth, huh? I don't think they ever gave Charming's father a name here. Just Charming's father. Let me see. Ruth. Robert. That's Charming's father. The Rumple just said it. Robert. I was listening to see if Rumple would say it. Robert is Charming's father. Robert and Ruth, Charming's parents. So, yep, Rumple can foresee the future. Ruth and Robert are very poor and they can't afford medicine for their very, very ill, sick son. Sick, two sons, not six sons. Six, no, they're sick, two sons. Two sons that are sick. Sorry. Um, so anyway, so King George wanted to have a son. But him and his wife couldn't conceive a child, and you can't adopt people in the Enchant Forest. Adoption is not a thing in the Enchant Forest. So if you want a baby, you have to do it the old-fashioned way of pregnancy. Anyway, mhm. So, anyway, they don't have medicine to take care of their 2 sons, and so they were either all gonna die or Charming or Rumple was gonna make a deal and give them magic in behalf of taking one of their sons to give to King George. And so they could either make a deal with Rumple, sacrifice one child for the other, even you should love your children equally, have that be a lesson. Don't try to choose one child over the other, but in this situation, they had a choice to either let both of their children die or have both of them live and give the other up for adoption or King George per se. So anyway, in that situation, if you don't want your children to die, because nothing's worth the loss of a child, maybe it is okay giving one up so that they could both live, right? Anyway, Emma and Hook are very close right now, and they're just having a party, celebrating who knows what, celebrating the family gathering, everyone living happily ever after. David is getting nightmares. He's getting voices. He's seen like his father's ghost. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of a Halloween episode, in my opinion. And he has blood all over him. What? Ooh, Charming passed out. David passed out. Yeah. Charming David, same thing. Yeah. Charming is kind of rude. Hook's been on your team for like seasons since you went to Neverland, and you think he's still an evil pirate? David, what is wrong with you? Anyway, he passed out on the floor. Hook saw him laying on Emma's porch, tried to wake him up, tell him to get some sleep and wake up Snow. But Charming's like, no, and I doubt I would take advice from a pirate. Like so rudely. Our once upon a time thumbnail is a Ferris wheel. No, not a Ferris wheel. Yeah, something like that. Not a. I mix them up all the time. Not Ferris wheel. A fair. No. Merry-go-round, no, yeah, it's Ferris wheel. I don't know Ryan rides very well. Anyway, that's kind of embarrassing. Ferris wheel, there's yeah, the one that goes up and down like this way, not that, not the horse one, the anyway. I need to go to theme parks more often. So Robin, who is not Regina's true love, the different version of him from the Wish Realm, is living at Regina's house. He doesn't have his own place. So yes, now Charming did it. Yeah, Charming did take Hook's advice. He let Snow wake up so he can recharge. Hmm. Well, Regina thinks that a piece of her Robin Hood is inside this other version because he didn't age, he doesn't have gray hair, because remember, everyone was cursed for 28 years and they didn't age, right? This is why they're still young in today, about 30 years later. But in the Wish Round, the curse never happened, so everyone aged up 30 years. So they should be old and gray. And so Regina thinks that since Robin Hood is not gray and white, and he was able to cross to the real world. They think that, and he's not staying in the wish realm like everyone else. They think he's, you know, you have to acknowledge that that world now exists since you made it a wish, since the evil queen made it a wish. So anyway, so charming. I mean, not charming. I mean, yeah. So Regina thinks anyway. There's a piece of her Robin Hood in there because he was able to cross to the real world, and he's not old. Yep. Hook is getting therapy from Archie, and he wants to propose to Emma Swan. So plot twist, I told you there would be a marriage. Anyway, yep, and we're gonna get a Captain Swan wedding. If you haven't seen the show and you're watching it for the first time with me, and hopefully you're watching the episodes first, because I have after like season 2 and season 3 decided that there might be an accidental spoiler in each of my commentaries. So yeah, you wanna watch the episodes first me react before you watch me commentary on them. React to them, commentary on them. They can be the same thing, but reacting, this is not the kind of reacting you'd see other people on YouTube do. Most people on YouTube react to the show when they have reactions to Once Upon a Time. It's them reacting to it for the first time. But this is the millionth time. I just never had a YouTube channel when this was on the air, so not having that opportunity to watch this show with you guys is like saying, "You know what? Just because I've seen the show doesn't mean I have to be like everyone else. We don't have to watch new shows on this channel. We could just watch ones we've seen and talk about them as we go." But when I started this marathon a year ago, I did invite people who haven't seen the show to watch it as well. So we should still try to avoid spoilers. Even if I did get comments in my live stream, I would say, do not spoil in the comments for anyone who might be watching for the first time. Even if they're watching episodes before my live stream, they're still not watching like way more, like further episodes in the future. They're only watching a couple episodes ahead. So still probably don't want to spoil too much, but some people have been confused that I have to make it clear that I've seen the show before. I just want to share my experience with the show on YouTube because I really enjoyed it when it was on the air. And I want to, now that I have a YouTube channel, I want to share that with everybody. I had a YouTube channel since 2018, but I just didn't think about doing a Once Upon a Time marathon until now, until a year ago. So I don't know what to tell you. The show did end in 2018. It would have been perfect to do a marathon right after that, but I just didn't. I did other YouTube videos, and then the idea didn't come to me until 7 years later, which is how long the show ran. 7 years. What a coincidence. We had 7 years of the show airing on television, then 7 years of no Once Upon a Time, and then it's on my YouTube. 7, 7. All right. What has happened since I got off topic? Let's see. Hook wants to propose. Yes. Charming sees his father's ghost again and wants to forget what happened because he thinks he died drunk. He doesn't think that the cart wreck was an accident. He thought it was on purpose. Anyway. Anyway. Um, Triton's father is a kind of upset and is drinking in a bar. And then King George walks in and it says that, hey, my son is missing. If you help find him, I have a reward. If you withhold hold such information, you will pay, like maybe die, get a death sentence or whatever. So anyway, but Ruth and Robert are not scared of King George, and they think they can go find James and bring him home without getting caught, which we know doesn't happen according to the events of the timeline. That's the problem with flashback shows. If you're going to do flashbacks, then you can't contradict with what you already established in the show. So if you want to bring a family together and they are meant to stay separated, that's kind of the thing. You can't ruin the plot unless you deal with time travel. So that's why sometimes it's best not to do shows with flashbacks. If you stick to present storylines, then you can kind of control what happens next in the show without future flash forwards getting in the way, I guess you can say. It's nice to see. We never seen David and James as 6-year-olds, like kids. We've seen Snow White as a 10-year-old. Um, we never seen her this young because David and James in this flashback are about like 6. But, we saw Snow White when she was like 10, 14, 13, 15, and even 18. But, we never, Charming's the equal opposite of Snow White. And so why can't we should be getting flashbacks of him? So it's nice that we finally get that in this season. Charming says he needs a pirate to help him out. And it's kind of funny how Charming still thinks of Hook as an evil pirate. He's a good pirate. He's a good kind. Come on, David. Get it to your soul. Get it into your soul. Yeah, Charming shared the secret with Hook that he saw his father's ghost, and Hook's like, "Are you sure about that? Are you just getting schizophrenic? Schizophrenia. It's when you see people that are not really there. Anyway, and he's like, "No, no, I got enough sleep. It's a real ghost." And the show plays it like that. It's a real ghost. He is really seeing his father. It's not schizophrenia. If that's a spoiler, I'm sorry. He's really seen his father's ghost here. You're a pirate. Pirate's what I need. That's in the trailer, and it's what I was just talking about a second ago. Still thinks Hook's a pirate. I mean, he is. He's the good kind. He's putting a bad view on it. Terminus. So Robin is kind of getting an idea of all the fairy tale characters. I mean, he's a fairy tale himself. He should know these are all fairy tale characters in Storybook. But he's reading Henry's book for the first time, realizing that everyone from the Wish Realm there is here in Storybrooke. Yeah, someone rang the doorbell. Of course, Robin is gonna sneak out because he's a thief, Regina. What were you thinking? Wicked Witch. She's jealous. I think here's the reason I could see Regina not forgiving because I think the Wicked Witch secretly wanted Robin Hood to die. Not intentionally, of course, but some part of her, because she just barely had her redemption arc in the underworld. Even when Regina started to be good, she was kind of going back to her evil ways in the Neverland arc, and it didn't take her until she had to sacrifice Henry to stop Pan's curse to actually finally be good. So with with um with yeah, Robin's about to shoot Sheriff Nottingham. Oh, Nottingham dropped his coffee on the floor. Well, this is a different Robin Hood. He's a bad Robin Hood. He's a evil version Robin Hood. He's not a good version. Yeah, I mean, yeah, trying to kill people. Robin Hood is just like Regina was when she was the evil queen. She killed people for a living. Anyway, so about the Wicked Witch, though, you can tell if this was the real Robin Hood that came back, she would probably say the same thing. She would say she has no rights to his daughter, none. Mainly because before Robin died, they always tried to keep the baby from her, and so I guess, just the way she acted at Regina's porch step, I think she kind of secretly wanted Robin Hood to die, and, Regina somehow found that out and didn't wanna forgive him for Robin Hood. It was an accident, and Selena never really wanted to kill her, Robin, because she loved her sister and she was trying to be a good hero instead of a wicked witch, but that was just a couple episodes before Robin died. So you can kind of see that still trying to get over her wicked ways. And again, when the evil queen did come back, kind of wanted to be choose the evil sister over the good one. You can kind of still see she was tempted and wanted to still kind of be evil, like just a tiny part of her. Most of her wanted to stay good, but a tiny part of her like wanted to be evil, and that includes or wicked, and that included hoping Robin Hood stayed dead so that she could keep her daughter and keep all the rights to her daughter. Honestly, if Robin Hood actually came back, that would be ugly for her to wanna try to kill him or have no rights to his daughter. Well, actually, that's way better than wanting to kill him. She never wanted to kill the new Robin Hood, but he has no rights to the old Robin Hood's daughter, at least. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, Emma is Hook is distracting Emma so Charming can sneak in Emma's garage. Emma has a superpower knowing when someone's lying, so Hook's lying about something. Rumple. Remember when he took a strand of hair of Snow White and Charming? He's now taking a strand of hair of Robert, but not Ruth, so it's not a love potion, you know? Anyway, Robert's making a deal with Rumple to find James and, using magic to find James before King George does? Anyway. So it looks like Rumple having magic. So in Pinocchio, there's the land of temptation that Pinocchio goes to, and he gets tempted and turns into a donkey. You know that the Disney version of Pinocchio. Anyway, that is not. We had Pinocchio on the show, but we never had the temptation part of Pinocchio, and so we haven't had the temptation land, and so now that's going to come to Once Upon a Time. Yep. Wow. So did you just see Rumple? He just threw Robert's hair away. Like he made a deal for Robert's hair, for instead of using it as a potion, he just threw it away. That was a lie. He didn't use it for anything. That was a waste of deal. But I liked what he just said as I was talking. Maybe one day we'll all be reunited with our sons. That is true. That is true. Everyone does eventually get reunited before another chaos happens in Storybrooke. There has to be chaos to keep things interesting. But maybe for like 5 minutes of getting fresh air and celebrating before the next ogre or villain comes along, you can be reunited with all your sons and daughters and happily ever afters. Rumple did get reunited with his son, but 5 minutes later he died. And then he faked his death, came to Neverland. 5 minutes later, he really died. And then Rumple again got Belle pregnant and gave birth to Gideon. 5 minutes later, he's all 28 years old and he wants to kill the savior. Well, so much for reuniting with sons, Rumple. Anyway, but yeah, Robert's going to the land of temptation where Pinocchio is, and obviously James as well. Hopefully, he's not a donkey by the time he reaches that land, and hopefully Robert doesn't turn into a donkey either. And then Hook are having a moment. Charming is still in the shed stealing something. That's a weird way to say it. Well, Emma knows if you're lying, so you just said it so weirdly, I think, when you said, "I just wanted to share my feelings before you went to that shed." You could wait until she got out, honestly. It doesn't matter how much you love her. You should tell someone how you feel, yes. But if they're busy, you can wait until they have time. Well, if you really wanna be with them forever, they should actually be able to sacrifice time for you regardless. You shouldn't have to wait for them. But anyway, no couple's perfect, right? Like, your spouse, your loved one doesn't have to be with you 24/7. So let them have their space, and when the time is right, you can tell them how you Nottingham. Sheriff Nottingham. You're a bad example, Regina. Yeah, Regina sounds like a hypocrite. That's what I would have said. I just couldn't think of the word. But see, here's the thing. He's telling Robin not to kill people when she is guilty of killing people. She has the heart of her enemies inside that little cabinet, and she's never given those hearts back for some reason, even though she's been a hero for seasons now. When are you gonna give those hearts back? She hasn't killed anyone for seasons, but she still has hearts to give back. Hmm. Regina really wants to fall in love with this Robin Hood because she kind of misses the old Robin Hood, and she hasn't really moved on from him. But as you see, they share a kiss, and it doesn't mean love or anything. It's kind of different. The kiss never meant anything. Yeah, they tried to kiss, and it wasn't true love. Sorry, Regina, that's not your Robin Hood. Your Robin Hood died. This is a different Robin Hood. I'm sorry. Robin of Locksley. He's even said he's not a Robin Hood. Just because he looks like the person you fell in love with, it's not that person. See, that kiss felt wrong. You could tell. That was not. Anyway, yes, Regina, you are a hypocrite. Yes, so she finally told Robin about his daughter, or not his daughter, but his um his double gainer daughter. And Noir, Charming, and Hook being weird, spinning in circles. That's not how magic should work. You should just make some potions, not spin in circles and do weird body dances. Charming didn't find that as a joke. Hook was like, "If you turn us into raccoons, driving that truck will be a challenge." No laugh. All Charming cares about is what happened to his father. He doesn't take it funny. He takes it seriously. He doesn't take it lightly at all. Yeah. So anyway, back to Robin Hood really quick though. He did, now he knows that his death version self had a daughter, and he kind of feels upset being put in the middle of this mess because, like, yes, Regina mentioned that Robin fell in love with her, but you know, since the daughter was at not was Regina's sister, kind of makes things complicated. If you were a version of someone who, and you found out that another version of you was married to someone, and then they got tricked into having a baby with someone else, it would feel a little gross and complicated, and be like, "Did you drop me in the middle of this mess?" You get Robin's point of view, not being the person you think he is, and being put into a middle of a family drama. It's kind of being like, I don't want to be a part of this. So, looks like Hook and Charming finally located Charming's father, and it seems like the last place he was the land of temptation. That's where the coin was his, so they put a location spell in it. Landed on the land of temptation, and Hook's been there before apparently, but we don't see him in this flashback. So I guess it's off camera that Hook's been in here before and has been tempted many times to drink things he's not supposed to and stuff. Too many temptations. Don't go here. If you want to be tricked by the devil, this is where you would go. But if you want to stay on the covenant path and stay on the straight and narrow, do not go into the land of temptations. Listen to the still small voice. Choose the right. Listen to your conscience and Jiminy Cricket and the Holy Ghost. Yep. Don't fall into these temptations. And once upon a time, I don't think they turn into goats, but it's still a bad choice is a bad choice, even if there's not bad consequences. Sometimes the consequences aren't bad to you; they hurt someone else. It's like you. In the long run, you end up hurting someone else too. Yeah, you remember Pinocchio when he lies, he grows a nose. So we get to see Pinocchio as a boy, a wooden boy, and what's interesting, what's interesting is that he's seen James and he's lying about it. But besides that, he yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say. Something about the coin. He was gonna take the coin and once and want to know how much that cost. But he's like, this is not for sale. I wonder who the actors were that played these little twins. What's interesting is that for characters we haven't seen in a very long time, usually once you're done with the underworld, you don't see them anymore. These are some of the rare exceptions. Like you, I kept thinking that once David threw his brother into the river of lost souls, we were never going to see these two again. But then there's this flashback of season 6 when they were kids, so it's like, well, maybe flashbacks aren't a bad thing. Yes, they prevent you from doing plots in the future that contradict the other flashbacks, but you kind of are forced to end things the way they're supposed to end for the upcoming flashbacks. But on the bright side, doing a flashback show is that you get to use characters that you can't use on the show because they either died off or they it would ruin the plot or they just are not available to come back. So if the actors are not able to come back, then you could still cast someone else to play younger versions of them and like little kid versions. So it's nice to see David and James. They never get together, obviously, because David didn't know he had a brother till he was an adult, so they can't meet. But it's nice to see both of them in the same flashback, even if they don't encounter each other. Then again, with Regina and Selena, they kind of went around it. They met as children, but then Cora erased their memories. That's how they never knew each other until adults. So I guess there's a memory potion that allows you to get around that plot hole. But anyway, I mean, unlike Cora, Ruth and Robert are not magical, so you can't you can't put a memory unless you made a deal with Rumple, because technically Robert made a deal with Rumple to find Joel, so he could have made a deal for a memory potion too. But anyway, it'd have been nice of them together. So yeah, so Charming's father finds James, and then we jump to the present where we see Charming talk to Pinocchio because he's the only one who has seen Charming's twin brother in the land of temptation. And Pinocchio's a real boy, a man, not a boy. Anyway, he tried all he could to talk about where that coin came from and how to find his what happened to his father. And so anyway, Pinocchio didn't know much, but it was worth a try. And then Charming then suddenly handcuffed Hook to a bike rack and left and dished him to get in his truck and drive away. Who knows where he's going? I can't remember. This is one of the few episodes I don't care about too much to remember every single detail, but I think if I remember, he does find out what happens to his father when he goes to the docks, you know, where Hook's ship is and everything. So something a little over there. I remember this episode right. I usually know every single thing that happens in every episode of Once Upon a Time. So that's kind of rare to run into this, and I'm like, wait, where does Charming go? Wow. Hey, James died before he got to meet his parents, right? So at least as a child, he got to meet his father. He never got to meet his mother. That's part of what caused his anger in the underworld. And I mean, the plot twist was that he wasn't mad that the mother kept David, and he wasn't mad that both of them chose David over James. The real anger came from David taking over his throne. And, well, not really, because King George kept his throne. But like, he took over being prince. That was the real revenge. But I bet some hate of him was probably never meeting his mother because he met his father. Anyway. So yeah, so King George was about to reward. I would have now again, it's a land of temptations, and so one temptation I would have got just to save my own life is I would have well, I probably would never do this actually. I would definitely want to keep my children together. But it'd be very tempting to just give the child back to King George and get a reward for it, rather than just say, "No, he's mine. He's coming home with me," to get a death sentence by the king's guards. Honestly, I don't know if I would want that. Well, I'm probably stronger than Charming's father, though. And he made the right choice to be killed just to get his sons together, even if that didn't work. Yeah, I just said that. It didn't work. But he tried to get his family together. Yeah, Charming's having deep depression right now. What if he never gets to be with Snow? What if Prince Charming's not being enough? What if he's just like his father? What if he never gets to be with Snow ever again? What if he dies in the hands of waking up Snow? What if he never gets to see Emma? What if Gideon comes back and kills Emma before he has a chance to save his daughter? He's thinking of the worst things. He's thinking of everything that's the opposite of hope and faith. He needs to have some hope and faith that things will get better. His wife will wake up without him going to sleep. Emma will win this final battle. You have to have faith that things will turn out in the end. Mhm. So yes, David came to kill his stepfather, and and they were both holding knives against each other's throats, fighting, probably causing a couple cuts and bleeding. But then Hook intervenes and locks King George back into a cell before Charming had the chance to stab him permanently and killing him. And so, luckily, if it weren't for Hook's interference, Charming would have darkened his heart, become a villain, and killed his father. All it takes is one revenge and one kill to just turn you into a villain, and you're no better than King George if you kill him, right? Anyway, luckily, Charming chose to be a hero and took the Christ-like turning the other cheek way of forgiving his stepfather for ordering his father killed. Anyway, so yes, the guards tied him up to a cart and knocked it down a ravine, killing his father. So anyway, it wasn't King George who actually killed him. He ordered him killed by his guards. So anyway, but yeah, that's still his fault since he orders them. Well, luckily for Charming, he threw the coin into the sea, getting rid of his father's ghost because he's finally making peace with what happened to his father. and that's all that's probably all Charming's father needed to move on. Sad we didn't see Charming's father in the underworld, though. This would have been a better plot for the underworld, but I can see why now that they're done with the underworld arc and they just thought of it. There's no way around it. Charming's father's ghost could leave. They say no one could leave the underworld. You can only go to a worse place or a better place. So this is a plot hole for sure. But somehow his ghost was able to make it to the real world and haunt Charming until he found a way to make peace and help him move on in a way. So calls back to the underworld from season 5, right? Hopefully, Charming's father's in a better place now that he knows that his son knows that he didn't die on a martyr. He did well. He did well. Yeah, he died a martyr, but on accident. He didn't. He died on accident. It was an accident. He didn't die drunk or on purpose. He tried to put his family together, and he did the right thing in the end. That's all he wanted his son to know. Now that Charming knows, he can be in a nice heaven. I hope, not just haunt Charming forever. Hook is glad to see that Charming's moving on from his father's past, and he's looking forward to the future as Hook asks for Charming's hand in marriage. No, no, not Hook marrying Charming. Sorry, he's asking Charming's blessing to ask Emma's hand in marriage. Sorry. Because in old school, people don't do this anymore, but in the olden days, in order to marry someone and propose to them, you had to get approval from the father. And so Hook being so with Hook being so old fashioned and being 200 years old, he's used to the old way of doing things. So he wants to get Charming's blessing before he proposes to Emma. And so anyway, yes, he's over 200 years old, mate. He just said, "Yep." So yeah, yeah, yeah. When you say that, David, I appreciate it. Hook appreciates all that Charming does for Emma, and he's like, "Well, let's not plan anything until it's official. We propose to Emma. Let's make sure the wedding's official before we plan anything." Anyway, well, David's asleep. Snow White's awake to talk to Regina. Snow White was helping Regina, two girls working together, while David was helping Hook, but obviously not at the same time since they're a shared sleeping curse right now. Charming takes night shifts, Snow White takes day shifts. Yeah, because Regina never blames Snow for anything anymore. It's not Snow White's fault for wanting Regina to be right, but anyway, but something very different. So yes, so it's not Snow White's fault. It's Regina's fault for thinking that it was possible to bring our Robin Hood back, to bring his memories and everything. But nope, it's not a Robin Hood. That Robin Hood's dead. This is completely a different person. And, he might look like the Robin Hood, but it's even worse than Jekyll and Hyde. He's as different as Pinocchio and Hook. They're not the same. Like they're really feeling like different people right now. When it came to the Wish Realm, Henry and Snow and Charming, they were similar. But this Robin Hood is the one Wish Realm character that's actually not similar besides appearances, because appearance wise, he does look like the other Robin Hood, but he's different. He's different. He's not just some Robin Hood that came from a world where Emma's not the savior. He's actually different. So what kind of person is Robin Hood, honestly? We're gonna find out eventually. Pinocchio drives by on his motorcycle. We haven't seen Pinocchio on his motorcycle since like what, season 1? Anyway, since Pinocchio took pages out of Henry's book, it turns out his story that he added to Henry's book, there were some pages he decided not to add, and it involved Hook killing Charming's father. See, here's Hook saving Robert's life, killing the guards so that he could steal from their cart. Anyway, well, anyway, yes. So apparently, Hook thought You know what I would have said as Charming's father? So Hook was a ruthless, evil pirate back in the day, right? He lived for 200 years. Anyway, it turns out there was no gold. That cart was just to kill. Now the cart was not the king's gold. It was just to kill Charming's father. And Hook thought there would be gold in there. And so before he found out there was no gold, he decided to, without people arresting him or finding that he stole the king's gold, he wanted to kill Charming's father to keep his secret thievery plan. And even though Charming's father begged that he wouldn't tell a soul, Hook couldn't believe him enough to keep him alive. So Hook killed Charming's father. See, I said that a little too early, so sorry for spoiling. I did say that once before, and then I stopped talking. But now that it's happened, I'll say it now. Hook killed Charming's father, unfortunately, and so yeah, that's what Hook discovered when he looked at the pages Pinocchio drove by in his motorcycle. Pinocchio drove by on his motorcycle, gave him the pages of his lost story that he didn't want to add to Henry's book. When Hook looked at it, he found out he killed Charming's father, and then we saw it in flashback of Hook actually killing Charming's father. In case we were confused by the images, because the images are a little blurry on Henry's book, and so sometimes it's hard to tell what they are unless the story takes us back there. So they did. We saw Charming's father get killed in the hands of Captain Hook. And Hook, after reading that, kisses Emma goodnight. Emma goes back into the house. Hook pulls out the wedding ring, decides if he wants to propose to Emma because now he found out that he killed Emma's grandfather. He doesn't know if he deserves to marry her. Just because you killed someone like 200, like 100, no, let's see. I wouldn't say 200 years ago because Hook has been around for 200 years, but let's see. 30 years ago, Emma was born. Let's say Charming was about 30 when that happened. If he was only 6, it was about 60 years ago. So this is why our Charming has old hair in the Wish realm, is because he would have been 60 if it weren't for Regina's curse. Anyway, um, so 60. This was about 60 years ago. Hook was an evil pirate back then. I don't know how he escaped Neverland. Anyway, there's always plot holes in the show. Being the evil pirate that he was, he killed Charming's father, and 60 years later, that past is about to haunt him. This is why you don't make bad decisions, because the consequences even sometimes don't happen right away. They come to bite you in the face later. Luckily, Emma knows that he's a changed pirate, and if it's 60 years ago, because like I've seen it before, where if you kill a loved one, the family doesn't forgive you at first, right? But you'd think after decades they would be over it. So I mean, it's up for your interpretation if you haven't seen the show before, but honestly, Emma would forgive Captain Hook if he didn't lie about it. Because, anyway, because he hasn't told Emma that he killed Charming's father. anyway, um, anyway, Emma would forgive him because it was only 60 years ago. So, he's not, and even Charming wouldn't be mad, even though he thought he was still a pirate at the beginning of the episode. He did save Hook. He did save Charming from killing his stepfather, and that proves that Hook is a changed man. So, honestly, I don't know what Hook's talking about, because after you just saved Charming from making the same mistake, even though King George is not planning to have any kids anytime soon, he's too old. He could have killed the stepfather. He could have killed his stepfather, and he chose not to. So, Hook being a hero and saving Charming from making the ultimate mistake proves that he changed and that Charming would forgive him because of that experience that they just had this episode. But oh well, they had to create a character flaw, for this season for Captain Hook, and that's what they did. His secret of killing Charming is, is his character flaw. He's not worried about being the man he once was, but he's worried that now Emma's not going to marry him if she finds out, which is not true. So anyway, oh well. They need something to hold their character plot over until the end of the season. So there's one way to put a character flaw for him to resolve by the end of the season. So yes, that's what we're dealing with for almost the rest of season 6, as far as Captain Hook's concern goes. He killed Tremming's father. That truth's eventually going to come to the surface. That's for sure. All right, next episode. Sorry, I just was received jelly beans. I just got. Sorry, hang on. We're not starting the episode quite yet. I just received jelly beans from one of my from one of my siblings, and I'm eating them. Anyway, 43 minutes, 53 seconds. Ill-Boding Patterns. This is a father and son episode. Mostly Gideon and Rumple, and then Rumple and Bellfire. So Rumple's first son and his second son. We'll see the comparisons between the two, shall we? We haven't seen young Bellfire since like season 5, when he was bitten by a snake. Remember? Rumple made a deal to save his child by giving up his secondborn, and that deal was passed on to Hades. Before that, we haven't seen young Bellfire since, well, not in season 4, season 3. Wow, that's crazy. Long time ago. Okay. And we will not to give too much of a spoiler, but we will not see Bellfire in season 7, both adult or kid version of him. So this is our last time seeing Kid Bellfire. Just wanted to throw that out there. But we're gonna start the next episode now. My mom just said hi, Ben, and just 1 minute ago. That's not too bad. Just seeing if there's other comments. Not much. Okay, we're gonna start the next episode now. So have your timestamps at 0. When I say 0, we're all gonna push play. Okay, 43 minutes, 53 seconds. Unless you don't have Disney Plus, just don't push the episode, but don't play a single second because we do watch recaps. Okay, ready? Anyway, 43 minutes. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0. Previously on Once Upon a Time. Hopefully, you and see. So this is not the Robin Hood we all love and knew. This is a different Robin Hood. Yep. Hook is hiding that he killed Emma's grandfather. Imagine you're responsible for someone's grandfather's death. How do you tell them without them getting mad at you or calling the police, right? Oh yeah, and Gideon wants to kill the savior. Let's not forget that. The first Ogre's War, many moons ago, as they say in the South, or many years ago. At the time of the Dark One, when he became the Dark One, he killed all the ogres, saved all the children from the front. You know, remember when Rumple became the Dark One, just so his son wouldn't become killed in the battle, right? Well, you know, he also saved all the other children by killing all the ogres. Anyway. Mhm. So this is a Beowulf. This guy's name is Beowulf. He holds the sword that kills the saviors. Anyway, yeah. Anyone who wears this sword into battle will be a hero. This sword is enchanted with magic. So, yeah. So you can either be the hero or the person who ran from evil victory. I'd rather be the hero. This sword automatically, even if you don't stab the person very hard, it automatically kills the person just by one little tiny cut. It's like Excalibur when Hook had a small cut and he still ended up dying, even though it was just small enough not to kill him. This is just like Excalibur. This is an enchanted sword. It's not the Excalibur, but it's kind of like it. The sword that if you were to stab someone with it, there's no healing, not even magic wise. We saw this with Regina when they made the cut on the Evil Queen's face, she couldn't heal it. So anyway, um, it's actually different because when Hook got a cut, he still died from it. So I guess this is not the Excalibur kind of sword. It's not if you get a small cut, you will die from it. But it's if you get a small cut, it just won't heal. So never mind. Yes, but if someone stabs you like a normal sword would and killed you, then yeah. But like, okay, it's not exactly as bad as Excalibur. I was wrong. Sorry. But anyway, we've seen this sword before. This is why I'm mentioning it. Now we get to see it in flashback. It's what kills all the ogres, obviously. As some of the knights actually got stepped on, actually. The fog is covering the dead bodies. How interesting. Oh, not covering them anymore. Yeah, a lot of people died in the war. It looks like no, what's his name? Beowulf. Beowulf. Looks like he's left alone in the battle. Everyone else in his camp died, so he's the only soldier left, and the ogre is coming to attack him. He's not scared because he has the sword of destiny, the one that kills Emma. He's using that sword to hit this ogre. He knows how long he'll survive. Oh my goodness, he just got hit really hard. Out by the ogre. No telling how much longer he can live. He left his sword there. He's in trouble. Luckily, just before death, Rumpel killed him. Rumpel saved Beowulf's life. Rumpel saved Beowulf. I wonder if that was a good decision or a bad one. And he just killed all of them. Yep. Well, how Rumpel he used the dagger to kill one soldier, but then he used his magic to kill all the rest, ending the ogre's war. Rumpel ended the ogre's war. And there's an ogre in the Once Upon a Time title sequence. How interesting is that? Hook is being drunk because he doesn't know how to propose to Emma now, which is kind of sad. Hmm. So it looks like Hook is rejecting Archie's therapy because it didn't help, but rum is helping. I don't think so. Remember how your other version got fat and kind of heavy weighted? He didn't look very good. He didn't look attractive even to Emma. Like, well, if you wanna stay good and healthy and skinny, you gotta let go of the rum and the dessert. Yeah. The fact that Hook wants to tell Emma that he killed her grandfather is an example of being changed. Like, you're telling the truth. You're not hiding anything from her. You actually want to be a couple and no secrets. Anyway, yeah. Rumpel already lost one son. He's not going to lose the other. He's not going to. He lost Bellfire. He's not going to lose Gideon. This is what we're learning right here. We get a flashback, another flashback of, we already know how he lost Bellfire, but we get another flashback of something about him that we lost. You'll see. But anyway, It relates to the present. Rumple and his first son versus Rumple and his second son. See if Rumple learned his lesson from the past. That's what we're watching right now, the past of where Rumple didn't learn his lesson versus the present where he did. They're trying to find Gideon, and they're not getting anywhere. Rumple's blaming the Blue Fairy for not watching him in the first place when he was a baby, but Blue Fairy was like, anyway, they're at odds, and Blue Fairy prefers to work alone because he doesn't want to fight with the Dark One. Rumple. Yeah, Belle had every right to put that child away because of how beastly you were before the baby was born. Anyway, they will find Gideon before he gets the sword and kills Emma, right? Hopefully. Yes, dark magic comes with a price. So, what's the price for killing all the ogres, Rumple? Don't you have to make up a price for that? Don't you have to pay the price for something? Yeah, the war's over. You don't need your magic. Yeah. No more magic. This is like an abusive father who's addicted to drugs and alcohol. It's the same thing. You're addicted to power and dark oneness. Magic is, you can relate to magical items with a real world, you know. This is why Once Upon a Time relates to real life situations. Like, you know, Rumple may not be addicted to alcohol or drugs or anything like that, but and he may not be abusive, but he is addicted and abusive towards his Dark One power, which is similarly the same thing, even though it's fiction. No one can have immortality magic. Gideon. Uh huh. Yep. So Rumple goes in and tries to get Gideon in the sheriff's station. Catches Gideon in the sheriff's station, stealing the sword from Emma that's broken into pieces, and it's broken so he can't use it to kill her. Anyway, he takes the pieces with him, and then Rumple knocks him out before he can escape. So, anyway, bye bye. Sorry, Gideon. Rumple's not going to let you kill the savior. See, this is kind of a moment, but it's more of a friendship moment, not a couple moment. Yeah, yeah, Robin. Yeah, you just need some space. Regina, leave Robin alone. It's not your Robin. He did steal something from her vault, though, and Regina doesn't even realize it. anyway, Regina did apologize even for treating her like the Robin Hood she loved, even though that's not him. That's like like treating a twin brother. It's kind of what evil Snow White did to Charming's brother. Charming. In Isaac's world of villains and heroes, you remember Snow White falling in love with James instead of Charming, and James died, so he took Charming's heart and forced Charming to be hers. It's kind of like that. They're twins, but they're two different people. Just because they look alike doesn't make them the same person. It's like real life. You can do this in real life. You can't separate yourself from good and evil, but you can have a twin brother or a twin sister. Just because they look like you doesn't mean they are the same person as you. And so anyway, so Regina's coming to terms with that, apologizing for Robin to treat him like he's someone that he's not, and Robin forgives her, treating him different. Anyway, so Robin just needs some time to get used to this world. shooting arrows at everything that moves. So Gideon is locked in the tower. Rumple locked Gideon into the tower, and into the clock tower, and trying to convince and talk with his son about killing the savior. And we learn that there's a curse on the black in the realm that the black fairy is in. She's trapped in a world where time moves differently, and why Gideon is now 28 instead of zero, like because he was just born yesterday and he's 28. Like literally, not figuratively, like literally he was born yesterday and he's 28 now. And so yes, black fairy aged him. um but in that world where time moves differently, there's a curse on everyone, and he needs a savior to stop Black Fairy and break the curse in that world. And in order to do that, you need the savior. And since Emma's busy taking care of Storybrooke, the only way to do that is to kill her and steal the savior magic for yourself. Anyway, it's not good. It's not a good plan. But Rumple is like, killing the savior is not going to be that easy, and I'm not going to let you do it because giving into darkness can leave a hole in your heart and cause a lot of heartbreak. Rumple's learning from experience, so don't do it. Don't do it. Learn from your father's mistakes. His last evil mistake was right before you were born. He was about to use the speed up pregnancy potion on Belle. He chose not to do it, and even though the evil queen ended up doing it, he still tempted on trying to give that to Belle and almost succeeded. So anyway, Rumble knows what it's like to give into darkness because even up until yesterday, he was giving into it, and he's still trying to get over that addiction. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of funny. So, so in the flashback, um, uh, let's see, Bellfire got mud on his face. Rumple was a little upset. And then the Wicked Witch was about to burn Robin Hood, and he's like, and Robin Hood, because Robin Hood snuck into her home, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa! If you kill me, Regina's not going to be happy that you caused the demise of a second Robin Hood. Imagine killing someone's true love and then doing it again. That's worse, right?" So obviously the Wicked Witch doesn't throw a fireball at Robin. She stops and was, letting him explain himself, talking about not taking the child from her. He was not interested for children. He wants to rob people outside of Storybrooke. I like what the Wicked Witch's line was. Grand theft sorcery isn't my thing. Anyway, that in our final special at the end of the season, she does mention that as her favorite line, and so that was her favorite line right there. Grand theft sorcery isn't my thing, and so anyway, but he didn't want to. But that relates to breaking in somewhere. He wants to break out, and the Wicked Witch is like, "Oh, that I could do, and I know what it's like to, to be reformed. These are people that kind of want to not be too evil, not be too wicked, but kind of do somewhat bad stuff, not completely devilish everything like Hades and Evil Queen, but not try to be the villain of all Storybrooke, but they both want to still steal things and drink and be merry, kind of like the Lamanites in Book of Mormon, or anyway, King Herod in the Bible. Anyway, no, no, not King Herod. That's a little too evil. Anyway, they just want to be slightly evil. kind of be an anti-hero per se, and and you can't do that if you have Regina as the mayor of the town stopping you at every step, telling you to choose the right. And so Robin and Zelina both want to get out of there. Zelina's been there longer, so she wants to get out even more than Robin Hood. That's what's causing them to work together to help break a protection spell, to use Regina's magic and break the spell that's on the town line so that they can escape. Anyway, now with the Evil Queen almost out of the way, she comes back by the end of this episode. But I was gonna say with the Evil Queen out of the way, Regina Wicked has no choice but to choose the good sister instead of the evil one. So, Wicked should stick to her redemption arc. Honestly, by this point, she's been choosing Wicked for too long. Everyone misses Wicked Witch though, so I understand the writers wanting to have her turn evil again. But we've seen that with Rumble, and that gets annoying after a while when he goes from good to evil, evil to good, good to evil, evil to good. So anyway, in the flashback, Robin Hood, Bellfire convinced Rumple not to use the dagger to walk across the lake. They decided to walk barefoot across the lake, and Rumple, being scared and being a coward, almost wanted to use his magic, but Bellfire convinced him not to, and they were brave enough to walk across the lake. Gideon is relating his childhood. He never really had a childhood, honestly. He was aged up in a day, but I guess even in a day, you still get a childhood. And so he's explaining his childhood to Rumpelstiltskin about being in a prison, Black Fairy taking a prisoner, and leaving the gate, leaving the prison door unlocked, and Gideon being tempted to be able to save the boy, but he couldn't because he was scared, and the Black Fairy knew she was scared. He was scared, and ever since then he lost to his best friend in the jail cell, and thought the Black Fairy destroyed him or killed him or something, and so filling Gideon with hate and wanting to come back to shoot the Black Fairy once and for all once he kills the Savior. This would start all this mess because of a little boy he grew fond of, and now the Black Fairy destroyed him, and so he wants revenge. Rumble decided to give Gideon a memory potion so that he can forget all the pain that the Black Fairy caused. Hmm. Hmm. Now this is a problem because Rumble fell for his trick. He was made. He has. See, so we're talking about protection spells here. He has the protection spell of protecting himself. Black Fairy gave him a protection spell to protect himself, and so anyway, when Rumple gave him the memory potion, because he was raised by the Black Fairy, it didn't work because Black Fairy prevented him from being magicalized, meaning he can't be cursed. He can't have forgetness potions, and anyway, so the memory potion obviously did not work, and and Rumple thinking that it did work, he hugs his son, only for his son to steal the dagger from behind his back, and now Rumple's forced to do what he wants, and he has no choice because Gideon has the dagger. He had the Dark One dagger, forced Rumple to help him make a wrong decision. So hopefully Belle doesn't blame Rumple for that. Because, like, yes, Rumple has made bad decisions before, and Belle wanted to break up with him for this. But like, when you're being controlled by the dagger, that's different. Rumple doesn't want to help his son, and now he's forced to because he has the dagger. That's the bad thing about being the Dark One is that you don't get agency. You have to be controlled by a dagger. So So in the flashback, they enter a cave to stop the person who killed the villagers. It only turns out that what's his name? I forgot his name. I said it in the Ogre's War. The I can't remember his name. Dang it, Beowulf. Beowulf. Beowulf ended up killing all the villagers and trying to frame Rumpel for the murders that he caused. He stole just like Gideon. He stole the dagger from Rumpel, forcing him to stand over the dead body so that when the villagers came, they would think Rumpel killed everybody, and they'd be scared of Rumpel and make Beowulf a hero. Anyway, Rumpel sent Bellfire to get help so that so that so that Beowulf wouldn't get away with this. We've seen our fair share of people getting framed on the show for murder when it wasn't really them. So Rumpel ended up helping Gideon. Turns out, in order to fix the sword, you need to take the magic of the blue fairy, and which is Gideon's fairy godmother. It made him hesitate. It made him almost choose the right for a second. But then Rumpel mentioned about how if you do this, if you kill the blue fairy, then you'll be no more evil than the black fairy herself, and there'll be probably no way of saving you or you coming back to the light. And Gideon's like, "That's a risk I'm gonna have to take." And he forces the Dark One not to stop him with the dagger. So anyway, Rumpel's in a pickle because his agency got taken away by Gideon, and it's kind of bad. Same in the flashback with what's his name? I keep forgetting. Beowulf. Yeah, and the Wicked Witch can't pass a ticket out of here. Sorry, back to we're off the father and son subject for a second, and we're going back to Wicked Witch and Robin trying to make an escape. Hmm. Regina's kind of sad. So what? So we just witnessed a scene where Regina and no, where Wicked Witch and Robin were just about to escape. But what happened was that again the evil queen before she turned into a snake put a protection spell on the town. We found this out at the beginning of season 6. No one can leave, and Regina still hasn't found a way to bring it down. So to stop her evil happening. Obviously, Robin Hood not knowing that there's a double gainer of Regina, he thinks it was Regina's fault, but anyway, despite blaming Regina for the protection spell, Regina promised to help find, ingredients to bring it down so that he can leave Storybrooke and live happily ever after outside of Fairy Tale Land and in the real world. He doesn't know what it's like. It's different than Fairy Tale Land, but he can take care of himself, obviously, and he's shown that just now. So it's like Regina is like I owe it to my Robin Hood that died, to let you find your happiness. Even if it means like helping you walk out of here. It's kind of sad because Regina's crying. It's like losing Robin Hood again. But you got to remember, he wasn't your Robin Hood to begin with, so you got to move on. You got to let this Robin Hood go. It was kind of it was kind of a test when they went to the wish round. It was kind of a test to see if Regina can move on from Robin Hood, and she kind of failed miserably by treating someone else, like him, like her, by making someone else treated like him, and you know making them pretend to be someone they're not. So, wow, Bellfire wants his father to kill someone for once. Whoa! So new twist: Bellfire gave into darkness before he was abandoned by his father. Yeah. So apparently, remember Beowulf framing Rumple for the murder of the villages, right? Villagers. So anyway, it looks like Beowulf was about to tell the whole village of Rumple being accused of murder. And he didn't kill those people, obviously, but anyway, Beowulf wasn't gonna frame his Rumpelstiltskin for all those murders, and before he could run into town, uh, Rum them he Rumple and Bellfire kind of stepped in his path, told him to stop. Please stop! Don't do this. But he pushes. He push. Now remember, we've seen this happen before. When a villager hurts Rumple's son, Rumple turns them into a snail and smashes them. He hasn't gotten that evil yet for some reason. This is right after he became the Dark One. Except we've seen him right after being the Dark One, killing soldiers who was going to take his son. So anyway, I don't get it. This flashback kind of doesn't make sense. But Rumple, for some reason, didn't want to kill didn't Rumple for some reason didn't want to kill Beowulf because I don't know, he was trying to be a good person for his son. And I'm surprised he didn't kill Beowulf even when Bellfire was pushed out of the way. Beowulf when Rumple and Bellfire tried to stop Beowulf pushed Bellfire out of the path so he could keep running to the villagers and telling them that Rumple killed them and he killed people in the cave. But anyway, obviously obviously after being pushed into the dirt, Bellfire kind of gained some darkness in his soul and commanded with the dagger in his hand because Rumple gave the dagger to his son. That was kind of a mistake. He gave now he's gonna not he's gonna he gave the dagger to his son and his son commanded Rumple because again giving your agency to your child is not always a good idea because he commanded Rumple to kill Beowulf and yeah. Yes, he might not be framed for all the murders that Beowulf caused, but he still killed someone, and it was all his son's fault. Usually it's Rumple, but nope, it wasn't out of his own choices for once. It was Hellfire. So yes, Rumple has learned a lesson. Never give your dagger to your son, and never let your son give into darkness. So learning from this flashback, unfortunately he failed to avoid getting Gideon the dagger. Gideon did take the dagger, but from Rumple, but he did stop his son from giving into darkness by killing the blue fairy himself, and that's still a bad choice, Rumple. You should not kill the blue fairy for Gideon. You may have stopped him from darkening his heart, but still. Anyway, it did fix the sword, so Gideon's ready to go after Emma again. Aside from that, yeah, yeah, at least Gideon gave Rumple the dagger back, so we don't end up in the same situation we did in the past, right? I mean, in this scenario, Rumple's not framed, at least Rumple's not framed for a murder in both the past and the present. Rumple is kind of upset that Bellfire became evil. Remember, he did the same thing to Gideon. He gave Gideon a memory potion and it didn't work because he was raised by the Black Fairy. Bellfire was not raised by the Black Fairy. So Rumple was able to give him a memory potion, and Bellfire forgot that he turned to the dark side. And so, luckily, if it weren't for Rumple's memory potion, he would have been Darth Vader instead of Rumpelstiltskin. Anyway. Hmm. Ah, poor thing. So Rumple was decided that with his son turning evil, this isn't looking good. You have an evil father and an evil son. Someone has to choose the right. Someone has to be the better person. And if it's not Bellfire, it has to be someone. And so Rumple decided to erase Bellfire's memory so that Bellfire would be the hero, would be the person who chose the right. And by erasing his memory, Bellfire thought Rumple killed Beowulf, which is not a lie. He did, but under Bellfire's control. And that's the memories he erased. Rumple decided to accept the fault for killing Beowulf so that Bellfire would think that he's turning darker and darker. And so, anyway, it's better for a child to think you're a villain than your child to become a villain. So that might cause you to go to jail, even if you didn't actually kill someone. But anyway, it looks like, it was a plot hole, obviously, because the whole reason why Bellfire left his father was because he chose darkness over light. And so it wouldn't make sense for Bellfire to choose darkness, which is, again, like I said, to get around these plot holes, they use memory potions like they did with the Wicked Witch and Selena as children. And, and to have James and David never meet and but still be in the same flashback. They get around plot holes like this by doing things like this. With magic, anything's possible. Just like time travel. With magic, anything's possible if you have just a magical solution to get rid of all the plot hole problems. And that's what they did. To get around this plot hole of Bellfire turning evil, they just put a memory potion on him so he wouldn't be evil. So, and then after that, Belle gets upset with Rumple for killing the blue fairy. But then Belle completely forgives him because when Rumple explains the situation and Gideon turning his heart dark, Belle was kind of proud of Rumple for not let choosing the wrong so that Gideon wouldn't have to. It's kind of complicated and twisted when I say it like that. But anyway, you know, if anyway, Bell makes a point. If Rumple can make the right choice after all the sins he's done, then there's hope for Gideon to be good too. You can make as many sins as you want, and you could still be forgiven by the atonement of Jesus Christ. Anyway, it's Easter, so why not throw a little religion in there? But anyway, yes, it's not too late to save Gideon from darkness. And so yes, Rumpel was sitting at Granny's alone drinking and being drunk. But then he decided to face Emma after all. And when he was about to tell Emma the truth about killing Charming's father, Emma snuck into his pouch and found the wedding ring. And when he was going to ask a question, she thought he was going to pop the question, decide to ruin the romantic moment by saying, "Well, what if I make your job easier and just say yes?" Because she thought he was going to take Emma out and propose. But that is not what happened. Hook did not take Emma out to propose to her. He came to confess about a death he committed, Emma's grandfather. And unfortunately, again, Hook was about to tell Emma the truth. He was about to tell Emma the truth. But 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 Hook was about to do the right thing here, but Emma ruined it when Emma thought he was going to propose. That was not the question he was going to pop. He wasn't going to say, "Will you marry me?" He was going to say, "I killed your grandfather." But Emma thought of because he found the wedding ring in his pouch, he thought the other thing. So anyway, Hook decided, after Emma said yes, he decided not to ruin the proposal moment and decided, okay, fine, let me make it proper. Will you marry me? It's not a good proposal, honestly. If your girlfriend um wants to marry you and says yes before you even get a chance to propose, and then you do it anyway, it's still not as romantic as it being a surprise. Proposals when you marry someone should be a surprise. I don't come from experience. I'm not married, but I've seen it in movies enough. Proposals come by surprise. The way I picture a proposal is when I get married, I'm probably going to take my girlfriend to the temple and propose there and make it so romantic and give a speech. I probably watched too much fairy tales. It doesn't have to happen exactly like that. You should make it romantic and surprising. You shouldn't just you shouldn't just expect it out of the blue. Anyway, so the Regina and the Wicked Witch are trying to forgive each other for helping Robin, and coming at odds with the fact that, one of them doesn't want this Robin alive and the other wants to keep their child. Anyway, Regina's even admitting right now. She says, "When I went to the Wish Realm, I was faced with a test to see if I could move on from Robin Hood, and she failed." Yes, seems like you were tested and you failed by bringing Robin Hood back and not moving on. you know. So, despite Regina's regret of bringing Robin Hood to the real world and not being able to move on from her Robin Hood, she complimented the queen, the Snake Queen, and said, "You know what? You're right. No matter what, darkness will always be part of me. You always make a sin. It's not a sin not to move on from someone, honestly. I don't think that's bad. But Regina admits that she still has darkness in her, and that even when she separates herself from the evilness inside her, that doesn't take away the fact that she's not perfect and she's still a human being who makes mistakes, right? Anyway, as she's saying that, she opens the cage to realize the evil Queen Snake was not in there, and obviously she got out. So now the evil queen and the wicked witch are a little concerned of where the evil queen went, and as we can see, she went to Robin Hood in the forest, bit his hand, and all she needed to do was get a bite from a common thief in order to turn back into a human. So then this is how the evil queen escaped from her snake form, is by biting Robin Hood's hand. I can't believe they made it that simple, but I guess you gotta get around it somehow if you want the evil queen back, right? Plot hole! Anyway, I like what Robin Hood just said here. I don't care if there's seven of you. I'm leaving. Seven evil queens? I don't think Cerber can stand that. Anyway, yeah. So unfortunately, just like Robin Hood is a whole different person, this evil queen is a whole different person as well. And they have a lot more in common than Robin and Regina do. Robin and the evil queen have a lot more in common than Robin and Regina. So anyway, the evil queen is it's playing credits right now. But before we start the next episode, let me just say, the evil queen is offering the world to Robin Hood, and saying, you've been having the wrong tour guide lately. Storybrooke is not just a place for redemption. There's villains here too that try to take over the town, and the evil queen wants Robin to be by her side when she takes over the town. And so, he's like, of course, I know you want to leave here, but once I'm done with you, you'll see what Storybrooke has to offer. And she's offering Robin a deal that he can't refuse. So he's gonna stay in Storybrooke, it looks like. And yes. And so anyway, he has a lot more chemistry with the Evil Queen than he does Regina, even though they're the same person. They're still two different beings. Anyway, um, so yes, that leads us into our next episode. It's gonna be Regina versus the Evil Queen and fighting over Robin's life, obviously. So anyway, it will be definitely interesting to see that play down. But anyway, yes, this was probably the lesser good episodes of season 6. It probably wasn't as enjoyable as the others, but this upcoming one is a lot more enjoyable, so I assure you. So get ready. So yes, and I don't want to spoil much more, but are you ready to see Tinkerbell come back? She's coming back. It's called page 23 for a reason. Remember when Regina was supposed to walk in that bar? Well, who led her to that bar in the first place? Tinkerbell, until she ran away and got too scared to approach Robin. So anyway, Tinkerbell, page 23 would not be page 23 without, from season 4, remember page 23? Robin falls in love with Marion instead of Regina. Anyway, it would not be page 23 without Tinkerbell. So little taste of Neverland, I guess, coming in this next episode. But anyway, yeah, so Robin Hood and Regina are working, and the Evil Queen, Regina, are working together. All right, so leading to our next episode, and this is our last episode for tonight, season 6, episode 14, page 23. Man, I hate when these nights come to an end. I say this every week. Man, and each, we don't have many nights left. I mean, if we continue doing 3 episodes a night, I'm gonna send polls out this week. But if we don't do season 7 on Fridays and we continue doing episodes every night, 3 episodes every night, I said last week we would have 12 weeks left. Just talking about not wanting to wait a week for the next live stream, and then the next live stream comes and it's already over again, and you don't want to wait the next week. You're already down to 11. If I keep thinking like that, it's going to be 10, 9. I don't want it to be like that. So maybe I got to just enjoy the wait, whether we're live or not. But anyway, yes, I still hate that these come to an end at some point. But anyway, but yes, we're going to start season 6, episode 14. And yeah, it's called page 23. I've already said all this. But anyway, 43 minutes and 46 seconds. If you're watching Disney Plus. Wait, let me make sure. Let me go backwards. No, 43 minutes and 49 seconds. Sorry. I already accidentally played a few seconds of the episode, so I rewind. 43 minutes and 49 seconds. If you're watching DVD, it's probably something else. But anyway, just make sure you stop before it says previously on Once Upon a Time, okay? So then that way we're all synced together and everything's fine. But anyway, yep. No more comments since last time. Not much anybody's watching at the moment, according to what I'm seeing on my YouTube screen. But anyway, we're gonna start. Reminder: I know it's 9:05, but we started a half an hour late, so it doesn't look like we're gonna end till 10. So anyway, here we go. Last episode of the night, and I don't push play until I say 0. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, sorry, my arrow messed up. Sorry if you have to rewind because you thought I'd push play. Sorry. This time it's for real. 3, 2, 1, 0. Previously on Once Upon a Time. I hope that helps you think. The fact that I say previously every time we start. Sometimes when you push episodes, it takes a second to load. So yes. So we a flashback. Remember, Hook killed Charming's father. Hook proposed. Emma wants to marry him, but she doesn't know that he killed her grandfather. Tinkerbell took Regina to the place with the lion tattoo, but she doesn't love it. She got too scared. Regina separated herself from the Evil Queen. There's 2 double gainers, Regina versus the Evil Queen, and then which leads us to our final showdown. The Evil Queen got turned into a snake. Robin Hood freed her from her snake form. The Evil Queen's back. We're finally hitting our final showdown with the Regina and the Evil Queen. Sorry, that was a lot for a flashback. That was a lot for a previously. Anyway, just to remind you what to remember as we watch this episode, of course. Anyway, we're getting a flat. Obviously, it's an evil Regina versus the Evil Queen, so we have to get an Evil Queen flashback because it's related to the Evil Queen. We go from Rumple and Bellfire to the Evil Queen. Before that, it was Charming's father. So we get a little bit of Charming, A little bit of Rumple and Bellfire, and now the Evil Queen. So remember, we haven't seen Evil Queen's. We haven't seen Henry, Evil Queen's father, since he moved on to heaven. But speaking of flashbacks and people we possibly won't see again because they moved on to heaven in the underworld. Flashbacks are really useful in that kind of way. Again, we have we have Regina's father convincing her to choose the right again, just like he did in the underworld, and just like he did before that when he died. Anyway, good cameos from earlier seasons. Before we officially say goodbye to some of these characters in the underworld, and those who didn't make it to the underworld, still, it's a good cameo of people we haven't either seen for a long time because they died, or we just haven't seen for a long time. I told you Tinkerbell was coming. I told you. We haven't seen Tinkerbell since season 3. She was only in season 3. No cameo appearances for 4 and 5, honestly. Tinkerbell knows Regina so well. She knows what she's thinking and when she's lying. Man, season 6 was almost going to be the last season. And so this is why we're getting a lot of cameos from other characters that we haven't seen in seasons, and it really does give you the season 1 feels in some ways. Kind of brings everything full circle until you watch season 7 and it goes down rail from there. But Storybrooke present day, here we are. Anyway, but yeah, it's good to see old storylines unfolding again and without ruining the plot line and plot holes, you know, because we don't get to see what they do in their everyday life. There's room for more story, even though we've already seen this kind of story before. It's nice to see it for nostalgic purposes. It is funny how Evil Queen and Robin have things in common and they're fighting about it. Um, and like one sleeps in a palace and while the other sleeps on hay. You might not have like lifestyles in common, but you're both double gamers of another character. One's dead, the other's alive, but still, you're a lot more in common than you think, and you both don't belong in Storybrooke, obviously. But anyway, anyway, So yes, now it's even more confusing for Robin Hood because it's like, wait, so there is two Reginas and there's two of everyone else. This is crazy. It's almost as if when Snow and Charming killed her in the Wish Realm, she got vanished to Storybrooke. And around the time Regina separated herself, which is not true and would not make sense, considering that it was 20 years ago they killed the Evil Queen. But anyway, but anyway, there's technically three Evil Queens if you count the Wish Realm version, but at least she's dead, so we won't see three Evil Queens on the show. You can have three Evil Queens, isn't that crazy? You use the Doctor and Jackal Mr. Hyde serum to separate yourself from the evil, but then find yourself in the Wish Realm. You got three U's. Or you go back in time and bring a version of you back from the past, and then there's four. This is Selena's time for. Oh my goodness, you're gonna have too many versions. So Regina didn't know Hook proposed, and Emma was just barely announcing it to everyone. So anyway, we saw the proposal already, but none of the characters knew about it. So Robin is a little upset that he has to do it, do this the hard way because Regina could use her magic to unbury the scissors in a graveyard. It's scary because you might end up lifting a dead body on with the magic. But right, what's wrong with little dirty work, right? And that's when Robin finds the scissors. He just was one shovel scoop away from finding them. Why give up? So Robin was probably confused because yes, the Evil Queen is a double gainer, but it's not the kind of Wish Realm double gainer because we learned from Jekyll and Hyde that in order to kill the double gainer, you have to kill the original. So Regina has to die to kill the Evil Queen, right? But like that didn't happen with Robin Hood. Robin Hood essentially died. Hades calls it worse. It's not death. It's he doesn't exist at all, not even spiritually. But anyway, that's the worse than death. Die physically and spiritually at the same time. So as if you never existed, and never created. Anyway, but yeah, that Robin Hood, in simple terms, that's not confusing to some people. He technically died. So why did the original Robin Hood die and not the Wish Realm version? And this is because double gainers from the Wish Realm, the rules of having double gainers don't apply to every version. The rules for double gainers in the Wish Realm are different from Jackal and Hyde's theory. If you separate yourself from the good and evil, the only way to kill your evil self is to kill yourself. Kill not your evil self, but kill you. You like you're the original. But when it comes to Wish Realms, I mean, you could kill Wish Realm Snow White and Charming without killing the original Snow White and Charming. You can, and again, you can kill original Robin Hood without Wish Realm Robin Hood. So anyway, so yeah, the rules don't apply to the Wish Realm version. So this is why Wish Realm Robin is still alive, and Regina and the Evil Queen can only die by Regina, which would be confusing to Robin because he hasn't seen how these 6 seasons played out. Even the actor might be a little confused because he's missed a few scripts and died before the Jekyll and Hyde story even started. He died at the end of Hades, which was right before. I'm just talking forever. And then yes, and then um, Hook had a conversation with Captain Nemo since Archie failed to help him. Be honest with Emma. He thought about getting advice from Nemo, and Nemo said, "You have two options, Captain Hook. Tell Emma the truth and seek forgiveness, or keep it to yourself and forgive yourself and move on. Like you don't have to tell Emma the truth. You can just keep it to yourself and move on, and you'll never know, and you can be happily ever after." But yeah. Anyway, But anyway, Emma, you know, honestly, you could tell Emma the truth and she's gonna forgive you because that was 60 years ago. You're a different man. Anyway. So the evil queen tries to play mother on Henry and steals the author pen so he doesn't write anything. And and then he tries to have a heart to heart conversation about I love you, I'm your mother. Just don't forget that. Which is could be true, but anyway. Like I said, it's different than the Wish Realm though. Because in the Wish Realm, Wish Realm, Emma and Wish Realm Snow and Charming are not his parents or grandparents. But again, the Wish Realm even has rules that don't apply to Jacqueline Hyde series. And so anyway, since the Evil Queen is actually part of Regina, and Regina is Henry's mother, that makes the Evil Queen Henry's mother, I guess. But not the Wish Realm Evil Queen. It is kind of funny how Henry has three moms and almost four. Well, I mean, Emma can separate herself into two as well. And then you have four moms. I mean, there was a girl on YouTube that said Henry had four moms. I can't remember who the fourth one is. Whatever. Maybe Wish Realm Regina would be the fourth mom if she didn't die before you know, casting her curse. Oh, well, I'm surprised we didn't see Wish Realm Henry because no, not little boy Henry, this Henry, old Henry. Because Regina crushed her father's heart to cast the curse, and since the curse wasn't cast in this Wish Realm, I mean, old Henry should be alive. But then again, he was like 70. So if this is 30 years later and people did actually age, he would be dead. So I can see why he could be dead too. But anyway. So Emma, because she has a final battle coming up, she wants to be the one to face the evil queen. And Regina's like, Emma, you're just trying to help. This isn't your fight, and you're not going to die. Let me take care of my evil double gainer. So Regina, tired of fighting against her evil half, she knows if she doesn't go against her, the evil queen's going to hurt everyone she loves. Not just Robin, but Snow and Emma and everyone else. And so she's like, you know what? The only way I'm gonna stop a slaughter from happening is if I give myself up to the evil queen and give her what she wants, which is to kill her good half, right? Regina's gonna sacrifice her life, which is a problem for Henry because if Emma does die in her final battle, Henry is not gonna have any mothers, but he does have grandparents that can take care of him, so he's not technically an orphan if he loses his moms and dads. He's already lost his dads. If he loses his moms, it's not happily ever after. And even Hook is considered a dad at this point. So there you go. It's not of course it's not happily ever after. What I meant was it's not or he's not an orphan. So anyway. Hook can take care of him, or Snow and Charming can take care of him. Hook is essentially about he's not married, but he's essentially married to Emma at this point. Not really. They're just engaged, but fiance. But anyway, Hook has been kind of a father figure already to Henry. So we learned that from the Captain Nemo episode at the first half of the season. Yeah. Robin is trying to convince the evil queen to get a fresh start in the wish realm, because in a town full of heroes, the evil queen doesn't stand a chance. So I just said what Robin Hood just said. Yes, you don't stand a chance in a town full of heroes. You might as well come to the wish realm where there's more villains. Anyway, there's not much villains in Storybrooke to play with, so you might as well leave Storybrooke to go to the wish realm. Get a fresh start all over, start from scratch. Anyway, so I didn't mention this, but in the flashback, Henry is trying to help his daughter choose not to be evil and help, running into Tinkerbell and all that, trying to help the evil queen find her soulmate, Robin Hood. But the evil queen doesn't. I'm gonna call her the evil queen because this is when Regina was evil. Anyway, the evil queen didn't know her father was tricking her, and so he's following her to Cupid's arrow. She's following him to Cupid's arrow, and unfortunately, Regina's kind of catching on to this trick and was like, "Wait, this is not to help me kill Snow White." Yep. And so Regina, after walking through this portal, has found out that the Henry brought her to a love spell, and Regina's kind of upset because she's like, "I came here to kill Snow White, not to use a love spell to find Robin Hood. I'm upset, Daddy. You betrayed me," kind of thing. Anyway, so what is the evil queen gonna do now since her father tricked her? I heard a notification. I'm gonna check it out. Nope. I thought I heard a comment. I heard a ding, which happens whenever someone leaves a comment. But anyway, so yes. So it turns out the evil queen is you can use Cupid's arrow to find the true love of your life. But evil queen being the dark evil she is, right? She used dark magic to turn the arrow to find the person she hates most, not the person she loves most. So yes, Cupid's arrow is meant to help you find your soulmate, but it can be used as a weapon and help you find the person you hate most instead of love most. So yes, even though Henry did try to do the best by helping his daughter choose love over hate, he failed in the long run because the evil queen caught on to him, and now he's gonna use it to find. Now she's gonna use the arrow to find Snow White, which is probably not what she hates the most. We'll find out in just a second. Hook was about to burn his memories until he got caught in the crossfire by Emma Swan, and she stopped him, and also found out that Hook killed Charming's father. So Emma's upset. She forgives Hook of killing Charming's father, but the idea of burning his memories and not coming to her and telling the truth is why Emma's really upset. Not because he killed Charming's father, because he wasn't honest. So yeah, now their relationship is broken and the engagement is off. But don't worry, Captain Swan wedding is still happening later in the season, guys. Just because they're breaking up now doesn't mean they're gonna stay break up. They're gonna make up. Break up, make up, right? So like if my cousin were to break up with his fiance, they can make up and the wedding would still be on in May. I'm just gonna say. Yeah, I wouldn't want a future wife to be upset with me. Hook, you should have been honest. Yeah. This is why Emma agreed to marry you was because you she thought you were honest with her and you lied. It's not that you killed Charming's father. She's upset about you lying about it. That's different. Anyway, Hook's upset though. You should have just told Emma the truth. He tried, but Emma saw the ring. This is why Emma's not just upset with that though, because that's understandable. Emma kind of ruined the moment for his honesty. But points for Hook there. But he should have not burned his memories, which is why I think Emma's right in this scenario. He should not. He should have just went to her. Anyway, Hook is now going. Now Hook is making a stupid decision. He wants to go with Captain Nemo and run away. It's nice to have Captain Nemo back in this season, right? Haven't seen him in weeks. So Hook wants to go on Captain Nemo's ship to find a new happy ending. Leave Emma behind. Wrong choice, Hook. Having known how this season ends, he runs back to Emma eventually. So don't worry. Don't mean to spoil much for any newcomers, but he will find his way back. But anyway, yes, as of right now on the show, Hook is running away from his problems. He just lost the love of his life because he couldn't tell the truth, and he's running away. All right, well, while Hook's running away on Captain Nemo's submarine, we're back to the Evil Queen plot. Regina is coming to save Robin Hood, but then Robin Hood vanishes. The Evil Queen uses her magic to make Robin Hood disappear. So her rescue mission ended up being for nothing. But now that Regina's face to face with the Evil Queen, we're about to have our showdown. She's going to use the scissors against them. Okay. So remember how I said in the flashback the Evil Queen was going to use the Cupid's arrow to find the person she hates most? Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, not everyone gets a second chance at love. That could be true. Once you meet the one, you meet the one. That's just because here's what I learned from my seminary teacher. Just because they're the one, they're not the only one. Sometimes we're meant to be married more than once in life. Like my grandparents, for example, they got married twice. I mean, I would hope just to get one wife and be with her forever, but sometimes life happens. Someone dies, and then you want to get remarried. I don't know. If my future wife is meant to die, hopefully it's when it's old age and I don't have to be a single father, right? Single parents are hard. Anyway, Regina, the evil queen cast a spell on the Cupid's arrow, so it would lead to her, it would take her to the person she hates most. So anyway, so yeah, Regina and the evil queen are after being at odds with each other, have agreed on one thing: the town's not big enough for the both of them. So who's gonna rule this town, Regina or the evil queen? You can't have both. Anyway, before they start fighting, the evil queen wants to use the scissors of destiny to separate them. Um, it turns out the scissors of destiny doesn't cut you from your fate. It can cut you from anything. It's magical scissors that can even cut you in half without killing you. So these scissors. So remember when Regina separated her evil side from her evil half from her good half. Now the scissors have cut them to be two separate beings. So like it's not like Jekyll and Hyde anymore. Regina can kill the evil queen without killing herself now. The scissors have just proved that. The scissors of destiny that are supposed to stop the savior from being the savior can also stop Regina and evil queen from being the same person. So anyway, now they're fighting it against each other because they know they can kill each other. This is why I said in my trailer only one will survive and one will die. Who do you think's gonna win, the evil queen or Regina? They just started fighting, but before we switch scenes, but you'll find out who wins. Anyway, in flashback, we're following Cupid's arrow into the in the evil queen. We're following Cupid's arrow, and it lands into a closet. Regina thinks Snow White's hiding into her closet of clothes. But when the evil queen opens her closet drawer, her where all her dresses are and stuff, the evil queen's not the Snow White's not hiding there, and so yep. So plot twist: the person evil queen hates most is herself. She hates Snow White, but she hates herself even more and doesn't even realize it. Sometimes we hide our feelings deep down. We don't even realize what we hate or love the most. And so anyway, that's a plot twist for sure. Regina hates herself. I wonder how that's going to play out in this final battle between Evil Queen and Regina. So, yep, it turns out Snow White was not in that closet, and all she could find was a mirror of herself. It's who she hates most. And if that's who Regina hates most, I'm just glad the arrow didn't kill her like it would have done to Snow White. So I'm glad it's not Snow White who she hates most, and I'm glad the arrow didn't kill her. There are, that's a good plot hole to avoid killing the evil queen because she needs to be alive for the present day. And so anyway, it's a good thing. A mirror is a great way to point at someone without killing them. Anyway, anyway, Regina and the evil queen. Regina and the evil queen. Playing again. Regina has gained the upper hand and has almost won. Yeah. Anyway, now that they're two separate people, Regina can finally kill herself. Not the suicide kind of kill her double gainer. So anyway, Regina finally won the final battle against the evil queen. She defeated the evil queen, but instead of stabbing her with a sword, she decides to go old fashioned and pull her heart out. But now here's what happens. Here's what Regina realizes when she's about to crush the evil queen's heart. She realizes that in the past she learned that she hated herself, and it upsetted her. So, learning from the past mistakes, she decides to love herself. It's important to love yourself. You might hate yourself because of all the mistakes and flaws you have, but you should focus on what good traits you do have and love yourself rather than hate yourself. Yep, evil Regina is choosing love over hate. So anyway, she's learning her lesson now. In the past, she couldn't. She still wanted to kill Snow White even after she found out she hated herself. But now that she's reformed and changed and been a better person, she's being reminded of that lesson that she learned from her father with the Cupid's arrow and deciding, you know what, I learned a long time ago. I hated myself and I'm not going to do that anymore. So she decides not to kill the evil queen. As she's about to crush it, that's when she stops and she doesn't crush it all the way, allowing her to put her heart back into the evil queen's chest. And yes, the evil queen's alive. So no one actually died. I just tricked you. No one's dead. Evil Queen and Regina are both alive. They both won. Regina technically won, you could say, but she decided not to kill herself when she had the option to. I'm kind of glad that you can't kill yourself. Before the scissors. I'm kind of glad at the end of season 5 it was shown that you couldn't kill yourself. Because otherwise, if she'd done it back in the end of season 5, maybe she would have regretted it now that she killed herself. Get rid of her, right? She learned that with the evil queen taking over, being evil, and in this season and taking over Storybrooke for the past 14 episodes. She learned to actually love herself and not kill herself. It sounds like I'm saying she's trying to commit suicide, but no, 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 no. Once upon a time in its magic, weird, different ways, right? Regina would never kill her actual self. She would just kill her double gainer if she had the chance, but she's choosing not to because she wants to love herself. Even the version of herself that's not her. Because now that she used the Scissors of Destiny, the Evil Queen and Regina are completely different people. They're not tied together anymore. So Regina and Evil Queen are having a heart to heart conversation. See, Regina came to the realization, coming back to Tinkerbell, does she still regret not going into to that tavern all those years ago? Does she still regret not listening to Tinkerbell? And if she did go into that tavern, she wouldn't have Henry, she wouldn't have all these people she loves, and she wouldn't have the town. So she doesn't regret it. Yes, it's still wrong that she chose evil over love, but sometimes we're not meant to be redeemed. We're not meant to repent until later on. Because it took Regina being evil to eventually get Henry and then repent. And so anyway, she would never had Henry as a son if she became righteous before the curse. So anyways, yeah, she has no regrets. Honestly, no regrets. She's grateful that she chose evil because it brought her a town and a son. That's a wonderful gift, which is not normally something you should hope for. But it's because she waited to repent after she came to the real world that she's grateful that some people are not meant to change until later in life. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, yes, Regina never got to say goodbye to Robin Hood, but to be fair, it was never her Robin Hood to begin with, and they barely know each other, so it's probably better like that. Anyway, so Snow White is trying to make excuses by saying not everyone's redeemable. That's not true. Anyone except Satan, anyone can be redeemable. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how bad you became, you can be redeemable. And yeah, and so if Regina's been redeemable, so can the evil queen, because it's her. It's the same person. Well, two different people, but similar. They have the same past. They share the same history up until this point when they use the scissors to cut themselves. Anyway, yes. Regina, so the evil queen is no longer evil. We have two Reginas now. She promises to do the right thing now, and she's apologizing for everything she did wrong. Though the Wicked Witch is like, I'm sorry, but if you find her a few months from now crushing your heart, don't blame me. Because Regina's known for blaming the Wicked Witch on everything, so I can get her point on that. But anyway, no, the Evil Queen's not going to do it. She's not going to do anything evil. She hopes not to crush Regina's heart 2 months later. Yep. Henry decided to call the Evil Queen his mom. That's cute. You accept that you have three moms in your life. How funny, Henry. How funny. Yeah. So yeah, this is you're probably thinking controversial here. Is this breaking the author rules? You can't write anyone a happy ending, but technically this version of the Evil Queen is not from Henry's book. Not technically. It's a fake version of her, just like the Wish Realm. So it's like, he can control where she goes. Henry can do this. It's not breaking the author rules. He can't send his other Regina mom anywhere, but he can send this alternate version. Now, this evil queen is not from the Wish Realm, but she's still an alternate version that doesn't apply to Henry's book. So again, I know plot holes, but whatever. All right, there goes Regina. There goes our evil queen, getting a happy ending. Henry sends her somewhere where she'll be happy. And the question is, where did Henry send her? Well, Regina has her ideas. Yeah, there's no way to know for sure, but I'm guessing she went to the Wish Realm to be with the Robin Hood she sent back. You're in the Wish Realm. Hmm. Hmm. She finds a tavern. The evil queen not only is in the wish realm, but she finds a tavern, and it happens to be Robin Hood inside. So, is she going to listen to Tinkerbell this time? Is she going to go in that tavern? Is she actually going to go in that tavern and not make the same mistake as last time? Let's find out. She's going in. She's not nervous. She's going in. Here we go. That's funny. That's what they said in Storybrooke. In the first time in for like forever. This is kind of a happy ending for the evil queen, to be honest. She walks in the tavern. She meets Robin Hood, even though she already met him in Storybrooke. She meets Robin Hood and decides to buy him a drink. But since this is Robin's realm, since this is the Wish realm, Robin buys Regina one, and they have a conversation, obviously off camera that we can see. Or we kind of see the start of it, but the audio is muted. But anyway, Regina and the evil queen and Robin are living happily ever after. The wish from Robin, that is. And there's only one little caveat. The wish from Henry is out looking to kill the evil queen for killing his grandparents. So it's not as happy as you think. And don't worry, they didn't abandon that plot. It comes back to bite us at the end of season 6 and in season 7. So if you're wondering, well, what about Wishram Henry and his knights? Well, don't worry about that. That will come back into play when we're done. When we're almost done with this final battle business. But anyway, anyway, what a happy ending. And yes, the villain thing did not work out, and it's kind of funny um, that the it's kind of funny that the evil queen said, "Well, the first time in like forever, I'm okay with that. That my villain plan did not work out for the first time in like forever." Reminds me back of the season 1 days when they asked, "How long have you been in Storybrooke? How long have you been a teacher?" As long as I can remember, since like forever. That's kind of funny. You can't really give up a timeline for us, huh? Anyway, so Snow White is telling Hook the good news that the evil queen got a happy ending. Like not Regina, not the Regina Mayer, the evil queen that was separated due to Hyde syrup, but Jacqueline Hyde syrup. But she got a happy ending. She's in the wish realm happily. And it reminded Snow White that even love can save the darkest of souls. She's telling Hook to get a coat, go home and get it, get warm because it's snowing outside and it's cold. Hook is thinking of doing that. He wants to go back home to Emma. He just learned from Snow White that the evil queen got a happy ending. Love can even save the darkest souls. That's teaching Hook a lesson not to run away, because even the darkest souls can be forgiven. So even if you were going to burn your memories, kill your fiance's grandfather, and lie about it, you can still be forgiven after all those bad sins: lying, killing, and burning your memories, which is considered a sin. Anyway, so Hook's deciding to go back to Emma, but he wants to say goodbye to Nemo before he leaves. So he's on the Nautilus. He's on the submarine to tell Nemo goodbye for good, and saying that he's not going with him because he wants to go back to Emma. Fortunately, the ship is leaving and Hook is stranded and Hook can't get off the submarine. They're merging underwater, so Hook can't get back to Emma after all. Turns out Gideon can't have Hook in Storybrooke, so despite fixing your relationship with Emma, despite saving that engagement and having the wedding go on, I'm afraid Gideon can't have you in Storybrooke, so the wedding's off still. I'm sorry. And worse, The worst part is that not only Gideon sent Hook away, but Emma doesn't know Gideon sent him away. All she knows is that Hook abandoned her. So, yep, Emma's watching out her window, seeing Hook leave. Didn't even know Gideon forced him. So she thinks he abandoned her and doesn't want to come back and apologize. So imagine you break your girlfriend's heart and she's expecting you to come back and fix it and you just abandon her. That's mean. But that's not what Hook's doing. Gideon sent her away. So, and Emma's going to bed in heartbreak. So, yes, wow. Like I said, too much drama on the show to have a wedding right now. Save it for the end of the season, right? But a Captain Swan wedding, there will be still. So don't worry about it. So don't worry about that. Hook is separated from Emma. Don't worry about any of that stuff. But yeah, that wraps up for tonight, guys. Again, we start at, instead of 6:50, we start at 7:20. So I think with that said and starting at 7:30, I'm going to keep this live stream up till 10. That does not give us 15 minutes, however, because again, like I said at the beginning of the live stream, I have a problem talking in between episodes, even if we start on time. We did not start on time, even. It was worse. We started 5 minutes late. And because I have a problem talking in between episodes, talking too fast, even, we only got 8 minutes instead of 15. So anyway, not much to say anyway. I mean, good episodes, right? Just to kind of sum it all up, we learned what happened to Charming. His father killed him, kept that secret from Emma, caused them not to be engaged. They were engaged and then caused them not to be engaged because of this, because Hook lied about it. And he was going to tell Emma the truth at the start, but, Emma kind of thought he was going to propose, so he didn't want to ruin the moment. That's still no excuse to lie to her. But anyway, and then we get a Rumple and Son episode. Rumple made a mistake with one son. He's not going to do the same with the other. We learned that he finally learned his lesson from turning to the dark side in this episode. He's not going to let Gideon turn to the dark side either. So, yes, finally, again, Belle and Rumple are at amends. They're not toxic relationship anymore. Despite Rumple's abuse, though, I'm surprised Belle still wants to be with him, even if he's not abusive anymore. But yeah, as Snow said, love can save the darkest of souls. Even Rumpelstiltskin. Even abusive fathers. Anyway, yes, we found out in flashback that Bellfire was the abusive one once, and so Rumple had to erase his memory. So because someone has to be the hero. You can't have a bad father and a bad son. Someone has to be the better man. Someone has to step up for a bad father or a bad son. Anyway, it doesn't make sense unless I go into detail. And I don't want to go into detail. Just kind of summing things up. Anyway. So yes, Gideon has the sword now, but he hasn't attempted to kill Emma again yet. So there you go. Emma's still alive. The final battle is not happening. And it probably won't happen until the end of the season. Like I said, no more half-season arcs. And definitely not now that we're past episode 14. We're close to the end. But yeah, and then we had an Evil Queen episode. The Evil Queen escaped her snake form, sent Robin back to the Wish Realm, and faced one-on-one with the Regina. And Regina, you could technically say Regina won because she gained the upper hand and almost killed the Evil Queen, but then stopped herself when she remembered in a flashback once she wanted to kill Snow White, used Cupid's arrow to kill her, but found out that the person she hated most was herself, not Snow White. So learning that lesson, she decides not to hate herself anymore. Therefore, she doesn't kill the Evil Queen. Regina decides to give her heart back right as she's about to crush it, and therefore no one wins. No one dies. But, technically Regina did win. She just chose a different decision rather than killing the Evil Queen. So the Evil Queen also gets sent to the Wish Realm due to Henry's author abilities, which is not breaking the author rules, because this Evil Queen is not technically from his book. And, yeah. And so, anyway, that's one way to get around it. If Isaac wanted to create a world where heroes were villains and villains were heroes, he should have just used the genie wish and then not use the author's pen, because it's better to have duplicate versions of the characters rather than make the same original characters those versions. Anyway, that probably doesn't make sense to you guys, but anyway, what I'm basically trying to say is Henry's version of alternate realities versus Isaac's version are totally different. Isaac's evil for changing the rules of the book. Henry's not trying to change the rules of the book. He's just helping a character get a happy ending, and that's also against the rules, but it's not a character from his book, and the rule applies to only his book. So, yes, and even though the Evil Queen is in it, we have two Evil Queens, and the one that's in it is no longer the Evil Queen. So, the one that was still an evil queen up until 5 minutes ago. That's not from Henry's book. So Henry had every right to send the evil queen, to give the evil queen a happy ending, and it sent her happy ending, sent her back to the wish realm, where she could fall in love with Robin Hood, and yes, now they're on a love streak. So yes, so there is a version of Regina out there that's with Robin Hood right now, and they're living happily ever after. But our Regina is not that. We thought our Regina was going to be in love with Robin Hood, but he died. So our Regina has a different happy ending in store. But we do have at least one version of Regina getting her happy ending with Robin Hood, even though that's not our Regina's happy ending. I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to find out what Regina's happy ending is. It's definitely not a man. But anyway, yes, happy ending for Evil Queen and Robin Hood. And then Emma Hook is trying to apologize for lying and killing and burning his memories. So anyway, but before he could apologize to Emma, obviously Gideon trapped him on Captain Nemo submarine and sent him away. And what's even worse is that Gideon's framing Hook to make Emma think that Hook abandoned her. And so anyway, it's kind of sad, honestly. Emma doesn't even know that it was an accident. She thinks Hook actually purposely ran away. So, she thinks the engagement is permanently off. But it's not. Hook wants to make things right. He wants to fix his relationship. He wants to be a couple. He wants to put that engagement back on track. And so, in the following episode starting next week, we're going to see him fight for his true love. But anyway, until then, have a great week, guys. It is 9:58. Time to wrap things up. But with the 1 minute we have left, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Let's see what the clock says. A minute and a half, 30 seconds. Anyway, so next week we got Aladdin, Jasmine, and a mermaid, a princess, a thief, and a mermaid. Our Hook's only hope to rescuing true love, to getting back to his true love. Anyway, Hook got sent away by Gideon, and the only way to get home is by a princess, a thief, and a mermaid. Ariel's coming back. We haven't seen Ariel since season 4. She made one cameo appearance in the Ursula episode, but other than that, it was season 3. Ariel is coming back. And again, same with Aladdin and Jasmine, who we haven't seen since the winter finale, since the mid-season finale of season 6, episode 10. So yes. And that episode we watched actually last week. So that it's only been a week since we've seen Aladdin and Jasmine. But by the time they come back in the following week, it will have been 2 weeks since we've seen them. So again, I guess that can be considered for a while. And then following that, let's see, I can't even remember the trailer for the next episode. Let's see. But yes, we will get an episode where more characters are coming back. Again, this was almost advertised as the end of the show, but then they got renewed for season 7 at the last minute. So it's not the end of the show, but treating it like it almost is, characters are coming back. And so we're going to have Blackbeard. We're going to have the author, speaking of author, Henry, the author who was the author of Henry's book before Henry. Henry's the author of his own book now. But anyway, you remember Isaac from season 4? He's coming back. So anyway, Henry's having problems with the author abilities, and he in order to get answers, he needs to go to the previous one. And so anyway, and Hook's still trapped and trying to get back to Emma. So there you go. And then finally, one more episode we're gonna watch next week. In order to fix Snow and Charming's curse, they have to go back in time, but altering the past can harmfully change the future. So it's not a time travel episode, actually. It sounds like it, but it's actually not. I don't want to give really much spoiler on this, but anyway, next week it's going to be exciting as Snow and Charming try to break their sleeping curse, and it involves almost changing the past. But if they change the past, they can alter the here and now. So for the worst, not for the better. Unlike Emma and Hook's Back to the Future episode. But anyway, there won't actually be time travel. But that is the delusion of it. Anyway, they don't actually change the past, but I'm not going to explain what they're going to do. But anyway, yes, more Once Upon a Time episodes to come next week. It is 10:01. Calling it a night. Just talking about next week's episodes kind of took us over time. That was definitely longer than a minute. I'm sorry. But God be with you till we meet again. But yes, can't wait for you guys to see next week. can't wait to see you guys next week. Um, but I think, you know, it was a good week overall. I'm looking forward to next week's episode. And next week's episodes, 3 weeks of season 6 left. Bye, y'all. I know I started YouTube. No. Yes. No, I started Facebook first, but I'm gonna end Facebook first as well. Whatever. Okay. Ending this live stream. How do I end this live stream? Where's my end stream? Oh, there we go. Bye, y'all.